Welcome back. So let's get back to our newsmaker of the day. It has to be what else but Lupin. Let's actually pull up both the intraday stock price as well as the one-year stock price. Just when you thought that there was a bottom being formed, maybe the worst is over, the stock has hurtled past previous levels and it's actually trending closer to, I think, a 3-year low now. That's the kind of price action that we've seen, severe damage on the stock price. Okay, so let's revisit what the US FDA is now saying. There's a full-blown warning letter on both the Goa plant as well as Pithampur Unit 2. So let's try and jog our memory back, get some context going with Ekta Batra. Now, Ekta, the company had been trying to resolve a lot of these issues and respond to the earlier observations for both of these units, right?
Yes, well, absolutely. Well, I'll just take you through the news that firstly, like you mentioned, that the Goa plant as well as the Pithampur Unit 2 have received a warning letter which took place yesterday, and the company informed the exchanges today. Now, in terms of the background for the Goa facility, remember that this was inspected back in March and April of 2017. It was issued 3 observations at that point in time, and those observations included review, lack of failure to review unexplained discrepancy, lack of written procedures. Now, Pithampur Unit 2 was inspected in May of 2017. It was issued 6 observations at that point in time. That too included, observations such as failure to review unexplained discrepancy, lack of conclusion of follow-up, etc. Now, how important are both these plants? Because those observations obviously didn't go down well with the US FDA and then eventually culminated into a warning letter. Goa plus Pithampur 2 unit together account for around 60 to 70% of the pending ANDA filings for Lupin at this point in time when it comes to the US markets, and it would account for over 50% of their US sales. And as of Q2 FY18, the press release, North America as a whole is around 35% of their sales, with obviously US being majority in terms of the sales of the formulation business. So just to put that into context. Now, in terms of the impact that we could see Lupin go through is that the existing business is probably not going to be impacted, but there will be production disruptions because they obviously have to undergo remediation, and that would impact margins as well. There will be a delay in new approvals from these facilities, and the key approvals which are expected, though we don't know where it's filed from, such as Tamiflu as well Axiron, etc. Now, any which way, US has been under pressure for Lupin because of competition in their diabetes drugs, Glumetza as well as Fortimet, plus pricing pressure in the US markets because of consolidation of distributors. For example, in Q2, the US markets were down 32% year-on-year, and it was down 15% sequentially to around 1361 crores. And remember that US FDA has put the Goa facility under the lens many times before, or a couple of times before. So it seems as though that, continues to be a pain point for Lupin going forward. In terms of EPS estimates, currently we're working with around 40 rupees for this year and around 50 rupees for next year. We really need to work out the math and see whether analysts would, cut it down further just based on these warning letters.
Oh yes, that clearly is the key question now, right? That 50 rupees EPS, is that at risk, or the fact that the market was hoping that FY20 is going to be a good year, is that thesis at risk? Paresh Dave of SBICAP Securities now joins us on the phone line. Paresh, good afternoon. Your thoughts on what's happening right now, and whether an 17-18% fall in Lupin has now captured the entire downside because of this issue?
Hi, I think that it's not captured yet at 18% downside. I think there is still more downside over here, more from an earnings perspective. And also we need to understand that if earnings continue to underperform, then we'll have some kind of a derating as well. US revenues, as she said, that US revenues, no incremental product approvals come in, which means no incremental revenue comes in. The base business continues to decline at high single digits, and that also has some impact on your EBITDA margin. So it has a cascading effect on your EPS. So, and obviously a derating. So it's still we see further downside from here.
Paresh, can you quantify that potential damage to the EPS right now? I mean, some of the estimates that I was looking at, some analysts are saying that about 60 to 70% of the ANDAs, the pipeline for the future, that was coming from these 2 facilities combined.
So that's the ballpark number which we also concur with, and we are yet to work on our numbers, but and hence I cannot comment on that. But there is still a downside to the 50 rupees of EPS, which was mentioned earlier on for FY19.
Okay, so what was your rating if you had coverage? I mean, what was your call and what was your price target originally?
So,
and I mean, by how much do you think that could change?
So prior to this news, we continued to have a sell rating on the stock, and we had a 900 odd kind of a target price. Yeah, and we'll see further downside to our estimates. So the target price will come down further, and it will be definitely lower than the current market price.
Okay. What about Cipla?